Hi, friends. Welcome back to the podcast. We are so glad you're here. If you're in midlife and you've ever looked around at your relationships, your friendships, your marriage, and thought, wait, how did we get here? Then today's conversation is definitely for you. Hi, Manal. How are you today?
I'm great. How are you? I am so excited to be here, really.
I know I am as well. And it's spring. The sun is out.
I know. I'm still dressed a little fally, but I'm a little
Oh,
chilly. You looking so nice and
thank
springy.
you. I am just so glad to see that sun.
Oh, so am I. It's
You
been
know,
blooming.
I've been talking to a lot of people recently, about midlife. And the one thing that keeps constantly coming up to me is once women start reevaluating their lives, they're finding that their friendships and their relationships are changing. I think we start choosing quality rather than quantity. A lot of the time when we were younger, a lot of our friendships were based on proximity. Maybe we went to school with that person. Maybe our kids went to school. Maybe they did sports or clubs together.
Right.
And once that goes away and you don't have that anchor holding the relationship together, then you really start to evaluate what it
Exactly.
is.
Exactly. And like our kids, with younger kids, they look at quantity rather than quality. And our kids are always saying, oh my God, I know my little one used to say, I have 15 friends, I have 20 friends. And at that stage, you want to tell them, like, if you come out of it with 2 or 3 friends, you've hit gold. So at this stage of our life, this is where we're searching for gold. We're digging deep down inside and looking for
Right.
that diamond in the rough.
Right. And I think one of the hardest things with midlife is realizing, as you're changing and uh, you're setting boundaries and you're changing who you are or maybe what you want in your life, is realizing that some friendships don't grow with you.
Yes, exactly. And you have to find out how these people or these friends of yours that you've had for so many years begin to associate with you in this stage of life, whether they make you feel good about yourself. And I know that you have had this topic we've had this discussion many times about
Right.
how leaving a friendship after seeing somebody, how either they drain you or they uplift you.
Right. I always had a thing when I went out with a friend, when I was reevaluating my life, I would sit down and I would think after I'd left them. And I'd think, so does that person drain me? Do I feel judged? Do I feel competitive? Or do I feel unseen?
Yes.
Or do I feel light? Do I feel supported? Do I feel inspired? And it's really interesting to take note of the energy that you are getting with other people because you don't have the time anymore to have that energy sucked out of you.
And there are so many relationships that we, unfortunately have with people, and they all they do is drain us from our energy.
Oh, we all have
They're
one of those friends.
yeah, they're all it's self-absorbed, unfortunately, and it might not be even their fault, but it's our fault for letting them do this to us. And if it drains you, and if that friendship does not serve you, it might be time for you to evaluate whether you should let go of this friendship or not.
Right. And I think, in our younger friendships, we spent so much time saying yes to things we didn't really want to do or keeping the peace and not trying to have conflict. And now that we're in this new stage of our life and we're getting our voice again and, we're saying what we want to do and what we don't want to do and we're setting boundaries, that's when the friendship really starts to
It's
change.
so important. It's so important for you to set boundaries, and we are no longer yes men. We don't want we don't, I don't we don't care whether anybody likes us or not at this point of state. I mean, I am who I am. I'm not changing for anybody. So I need to make myself comfortable, and in turn I'll make that friend comfortable, because I would be a fake friend if I pretend to be, engaging, or pretend to like the atmosphere I'm in. It's false for both of us. It's
Right. And look, not all friendships at this stage need to be reevaluated. Some of us have got, long-time friends who are growing as well, and we're growing together and they're
yes.
supportive and we're supportive of them. But I think, we're really talking about those ones that don't make us feel good anymore.
Yes, and those that also do not wish us well. And we know a lot of people like that, not, specific people, but we know a lot of people like that. And friendships are very important at this stage. Friendships for our age, because we're all going through the same things. We have to voice our opinion together and find out, like, when we go out to lunch with friends, we're discovering, like, oh my God, we're going through the same thing. We're talking about our aches and our pains, our problems, our kids, but we're all going through this together. It's the same level. And that kind of friendship, those are the type of friendships we should nurture and build more of.
Right. Well, because it's people that really understand what you're going through.
Yes.
And that may have experienced it themselves. And I think when you have a group of women that understand, you feel so much stronger. You don't feel alone.
Yes. And I've always told you this, and we've been friends for 20 years. And I love to build friends based on, it's almost like a sisterhood. Like, we're sisters. You tell it like it is to me, and sometimes it's blunt, which is great. And
Yes, I do.
Yes, you do. You really do. But I don't take offense to that, because I know it's coming from love. Love for me, love for my family, love for my children. You will go out of your way to do anything for anybody, and especially for me. And I really appreciate that. And that comes back to sisterhood. And those are the bonds that you need to build with in our time right now. We need to build a sisterhood of women around us to secure this bond around us.
And also, too, when you let go of friendships that aren't working, you create more space in your life for better friendships.
Yes. And sometimes it's surprising that friends that aren't so close to you at this stage of life, you really evaluate them. They become really very close friends, especially with the situation now, what we're doing. And we've come to realize that there are friends that are behind us 100%. And there are friends that we thought would be behind us are not. And it's so surprising.
Why do you think that women feel so guilty letting go of long-term friendships?
I think it's the time that we've dedicated and spent on the friendship that we're trying to salvage something that might not be salvageable. It might not be beneficial for either party, but we're still sticking in there, giving it every opportunity. And sometimes it's time to let go. Like you said, it's to save energy for other things, for other friends, for other people to put that energy into.
Create space.
Create space.
Yeah. So have you ever had a friendship that in midlife changed, and though it felt sad at the time, by sort of moving away from that friendship, you eventually found it was so much healthier for you?
Unfortunately, yes. It was a friend from back in high school, and we've been through thick and thin. And it's just, I think we're at different stages of our life. We're the same age, but she got married a lot younger than me, and her family is grown more than mine. But we faced a situation where she just blew up. Like, she didn't understand the stage of life that I'm in, and she didn't want to understand. She was just wanting what she's going through, her situation. And I just realized that I couldn't handle that. I couldn't handle the stress. I didn't want it anymore. And unfortunately, I had to let go.
Right.
And it's sad, but it was something, it's reality.
But if it's tiring and you're having to defend yourself all the time, or
Exactly.
watch what you say to someone,
You can't
it's not
tiptoe on
enjoyable.
friendships. You can't tiptoe around people with friendships. That's not a friendship.
Right.
That's not a friendship.
Right.
And have you ever had a friend who didn't like the new version of you?
It's actually funny you say that. So when we decided to start this podcast, we started it because we wanted to talk about the things in midlife that we're experiencing, and, give people somewhere to listen and to feel like, okay, they're normal too. They're going through this. I'm not alone. And I remember when I told a friend of mine who owns and started up a cosmetic company that I was going to be doing this, she said to me, just you wait, you'll learn who your friends are.
Yes, you will.
I kind of took it with a grain of salt, really didn't think about it. So then I started doing this podcast. And I have some incredible girlfriends who have been such an amazing support, and my cheerleaders and rah-rah behind me, which is wonderful. But what actually surprised me was I had some good friends, but it was like crickets.
Yes.
Nothing. Didn't hear anything.
And that's so shocking. You get so surprised because you never expected that out of them.
Right. And then I had other people who I barely know or who I haven't spoken to in a long time. I had texts, I had phone calls saying, hey, I'm really proud of you, or this is awesome, and how can I support you?
Exactly.
So it was a really big eye opener for me, and learning just who was kind of really in my corner and who wasn't. And sometimes, unless you have things happen in your life, you don't get to realize those things.
Exactly.
So as I said, it was a big eye opener.
And especially women and friendships, it's just you need that. Like I said again, it's a sisterhood, and if you can't offer that to me, it's I have no space in my life for you, and that's not. It's okay. It's okay. You know,
Right.
it's perfectly okay.
I think it is. And it's just realizing that sadly, that friendship was built on an older version of you.
Yes, and it's moved on, and they have to deal with what they're dealing with. It has nothing to do with you. You can't take it really personal. We're not saying just get rid of everybody. There are friendships that
No.
are really worth trying and working hard
Right.
for, because some people are, maybe they're going through a different stage of life than you are, or maybe they need a little help. We haven't reached the aha moment obviously yet, but we're working on it, and maybe they're just on their first step in working on their goal to realizing the midlife, and they can do more with their life. So those are people that you should stick with, and just find out what you can help with.
It's true. So, talking about friendships, a lot of this is very, a lot of similarity when you talk about
Oh yes.
relationships and marriage as well. Marriage and relationships in your 20s and 30s was all about building a life.
Yes.
Then you kind of get to midlife and it's more about evaluating the life that you built.
Yes.
So a lot of women start to really question, how do I feel in this relationship? Am I feeling seen? Is this relationship working for us both? They really start asking those
And
questions.
it's a reevaluation of what your needs are at this stage of life. And it's very important, communication with your partner. It's very important, because sometimes they don't realize that the changes in you need different treatments. You need to be seen. You need to be heard. They also need to be seen and heard, but you have to have and start with communication. That's the most important thing in a relationship, to start evaluating it.
Yeah. Well, I think it's quite a shock sometimes to some partners, especially if they've been in a marriage that's, based on logistics. It's like, who's picking up the
Yes.
kids or who's dropping off the dry cleaning. And, they've sort of lost that emotional connection to suddenly you've got this partner who's saying, no, I don't want to do that. And no, I'm not going to do that. And I need this out of you. And I need this in a relationship. So it can be quite a shock. And that's where I think that communication
So important.
is right. It's so important because you can actually be married or in a relationship and feel completely alone.
Exactly. You feel like you're roommates. You don't even have anything in common anymore. You have to find that commonality. It's not only about your family that you built or your kids. It's what made you two originally get together. You have to remember that. There's love there. There's a life built there, and communication. If that breaks down, you lose everything.
That's the thing, is it's how do we start communicating if we haven't communicated for so long? And it's just starting off slowly and really thinking about what you want and speaking to your
Yes.
partner, letting them know that what you want going forward and how you'd like your partnership to be. And you actually want a partnership. A lot of people,
Yes.
as I
Don't want
said,
it.
they feel like they're roommates and not partners. But it's also, like you said, listening to what they want as well. It has to be both of
Both.
you,
Both sides.
getting what you want.
Yes. And that leads also to, intimacy too. What we need, how we want to be treated outside, not only in the bedroom, but outside the bedroom. We want to talk. We want the emotional connection first.
Right. And that's, like you said, it's so important because a lot of men still don't realize that if we're not getting the intimacy and the partnership outside of the bedroom, we're not feeling it inside the bedroom.
Yes.
So that's really important. But intimacy comes with a lot of things. There can be, you can start feeling too familiar with someone, or
Hmm.
maybe there's body changes
Change it
or
up a little bit.
hormones and things. So I think, if your body is feeling like it can't perform anymore, I think it's really important to talk to your doctor about
Yes.
it. We come from a generation of women that didn't really talk about it.
Silence. Silence. It's not
Right.
spoken.
So I think it's important to speak to your doctor and advocate for yourself, and lack of estrogen or progesterone, any testosterone, different things like this could be causing that to happen.
Medically, it could be like fixed. You just need to speak out and tell somebody what's going on with you,
Yeah.
because nobody's going to guess.
Right. And I think if you do the steps, women in midlife, they're wanting that connection. They know their bodies a lot better than they did when they're younger. And I think you
Yes.
can work on that intimacy, and you can slowly try to get it back if you have lost it in your relationship.
And try to schedule time to spend together. I mean, I know some people they're not retired yet and they're still working. And, they used to say like the date night when the kids were around, but now you have all the time in the world. I mean, after work, maybe you're tired, like you guys do. Like on the weekends, make a specific time just for you guys to reconnect, to do something fun.
Right. My husband and I, we started playing pickleball.
Yeah.
So
I
we
think it's
play every
great.
Sunday, and
I
it's
think it's so
great. We'll
great.
often go out for lunch afterwards. And, we didn't get the time to do any of that when the kids were, growing up, and we were both torn in two different places. We had two children. So it's been nice to, spend that time together.
We like going for walks. I like walking, so he likes to walk. And we just get to talk, either walk the dog or walk on the beach. That's a great time. Go have lunch, go grab coffee outside, just to talk, just to be with us outside our familiar surroundings. And you're just two in front of each other just to talk.
I also think it's a really important time to actually find out if both of you are willing
Yes.
to get to know each
That's
other
very important.
again. Because sometimes you may be doing all the changes and wanting the change and doing the work on yourself, and your partner liked it like it was before. They don't like this new version of you.
And that comes back to communication again, because if they don't communicate, I mean, they can be lying to you, obviously, but if you don't communicate what you want, you don't know what the other person wants. They might not want what you want, and then you know.
And I think it's both of you asking together, like, do we want the next chapter of our lives together to feel different than the previous chapter?
Definitely.
Some
I know
people
I will.
don't. Some people don't.
Yeah, you're right. You're right. They're just tired. Some people, it's like, I'm done. This is time for me to live for myself, and I just want a total change, and it's okay. I mean, but you have to be frank about it. You have to be upfront about it. You can't just hide it. You have, again, communication. You have to open up the channels of communication.
Right. And I think, this is the same for both friendships and relationships. It really becomes about trust and honesty. Because I know with my friendships as well, I need truth from my friends.
Yes.
I need honesty from my friends. I need to be able to trust them. I don't want to spend time with someone and then walk away and know that they're off telling someone else all my business.
Oh my God.
Trust is so important. So I think it's important in both friendships and relationships.
Very, very important.
Honesty and trust.
Honesty and trust. And you know me, I don't like I hate gossip. I hate people talking about each other. And that is one thing that is a no-no for friendships for me. That's like the number one thing. I can't handle that. I can't stand it.
So, if women are in this stage in their marriage or their relationship, and, they're questioning everything about themselves and their lives, and they're feeling like they're stuck with each other as roommates, and they don't know how to start this process, how to start trying to connect again, where do you think they should start?
I really think that they should get outside help. I really think if you can't know where to begin, I really think that maybe therapy, couples therapy, talk to somebody. I mean, just don't throw in the towel. It's worth trying, giving it every effort. And I really think that therapy really connects people together. Sometimes they realize that they don't want to be together, but at least they've tried. They've given it a chance.
Right. Well, I think it's great to get someone else's perspective.
Yes.
Because, we tend to, in our relationships, I'll think I'm right. My husband will think he's
definitely,
right.
100%.
And that happens in most relationships. And so it becomes very hard to compromise. So when you have someone else's, from the outside, their perspective of it, and can talk about it in a different way to you both,
Yes.
and try to help you, I think that can really guide you as well.
Yes. And a lot of people, unfortunately, just stay in a marriage that they're not happy in because they're bound by the children, and that's the bond, and it's just, we're going to continue on this, and it just makes everybody miserable. So if you don't begin to realize your needs, you can make the other person miserable, whether it be the man or the woman. I mean, you could be miserable together.
Right.
and it's
Right.
horrible.
So I think it's, like you say, it's realizing what your needs are as well, not expecting everything to come from your partner or your husband.
You have to do
Okay?
your work. You have to
Right.
understand who you are at this stage of life and what you need.
Right. Making yourself happy first. Find out. Because, a lot of the time, like we've discussed before, we're so busy being, we're either working or we're mothers or, both. And we're giving to everyone else all the time that we don't actually stop to think about what we need to make us happy. So I think, as you get to midlife, life slows down a bit and it, gets a little bit quieter. And now it becomes the time to think about what you want.
You have to realize it first, because I think we forget that we are entitled to be happy and we are entitled to ask things for ourselves. And we just have to keep remembering that, because we deserve it. We've done so much for so many years. I mean, it's our turn, and we
Yeah.
really need to advocate for ourselves to realize what we need and what makes us happy.
It's actually shocked me how much, getting to this age in my 50s and how much evaluating I am actually doing.
You're evaluating every
I'm
single
evaluating
day.
everything.
We talk all the time, and you evaluate everything, which is great. And I mean,
am.
you're actually making me think more, and it's my head hurts, but you're making me think a lot more about a lot of things, and it's bringing perspective to my life, and I really
Right.
appreciate that. Thank you.
Oh, you're welcome. That's lovely. Because I think what happens is, like I've said before, we're so busy, we don't take the time to think about what we need.
Yes. And it's like you need people to voice or bounce back ideas of,
Right.
is this correct, or should I be feeling this way? And that's what you need. That's what we're saying about friendships and relationships. It's bouncing back. It's not only in your head. Talk to people. Talk. If you don't have anybody to talk to, call somebody. There's so many
listen to
people.
us.
Listen to us. Contact us. We'll talk to you.
Right.
But it's very important not to keep it in your head, to bounce it off of somebody, speak it out, set it out, set out the intention of, like, am I crazy, or is really who I am? Say it out loud. I think it's saying it out loud makes it more real.
But I also like that you can get a little crazier at this age, because I don't care what anyone thinks anymore. I do not care.
Oh my God, we get louder and louder and funnier. I think I'm getting funnier. My kids used to think that I have no sense of humor. But I am funny now, because I
I
don't
think
care.
you are. You make me laugh.
My kids are like, oh my God, Mom, you're embarrassing us. I like that. I like that better.
Well, it's because, like you said, we're letting go. We're setting boundaries. We're opening ourselves up. We're finding out who we are. And this is just an exciting, wonderful time. And, like we've said, friendships and relationships are such a big part of it, because they are a huge part of our lives.
It is.
And that's why we have to take the time to evaluate. And I keep using the word evaluate, but to really, look at what's working for us and what's not.
It's the most important thing. And just keep doing what you're doing. Enjoy life. This is time to enjoy life. Enjoy your relationships. Go out and do something fun for yourself.
I agree.
Take your husband out. Treat him to something that he didn't expect, or do something different.
Right.
Shock them.
Right.
Or shock a girlfriend.
Good idea.
Thanks so much for joining us today and being part of the conversation about friendships and relationships in midlife. These topics can be complicated, but they're such an important part of this stage of life. As we grow, change, and figure out what truly feels right for us. We're really grateful that you spent this time with us today. And if this conversation resonated with you, we hope you come back and join us again.
Next week, we're going to be talking about something really exciting: reinvention in midlife, and how this stage of life can be the perfect time to start fresh, try new things, and create the life that we really want. Thanks again for listening. Don't forget to subscribe, and we'll see you next time.